I want you to think about the last time you bought a car. Not borrowed one, not rented one, actually signed the papers and drove it off the lot. Most people don't realize that single moment, that single decision quietly reshapes their entire financial future, and most of them never find out until it's too late. My name is Jenny, and I've spent years studying the financial habits of everyday people. Not billionaires, not hedge fund managers, regular people, teachers, engineers, nurses, who either retire comfortably or spend their 60s still grinding. And one pattern keeps showing up. One pattern that almost nobody talks about: the car. Not the house, not the education, the car. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly how one car decision, just one, can silently push your retirement back by a full decade. Stay with me, because this is going to change how you look at every vehicle you ever consider buying again. Let's start with a number. The average new car payment in 2024 sits around $735 per month. That's not a luxury vehicle, that's the average. Add insurance, another $180 to $220 per month for a newer model. Add registration, maintenance, and depreciation, we're conservatively looking at $1,000 to $1,200 per month, all in. Per month, every month, for years. Now, I want you to hold that number in your mind while we do some math together. Let's say you're 30 years old. You buy a new car. Finance it over 72 months, which, by the way, is now the most common loan term in America. You pay it off. Then, because you're used to the payment, you buy another one. This is what financial researchers call the car payment cycle. You never actually escape it. You just keep rotating: new car, new loan, new payment for the rest of your working life. Most people spend 20 to 30 years trapped in this cycle without ever naming it. Now let's look at the alternative. What if, instead of cycling through car payments forever, you bought a reliable used vehicle, let's say $18,000, paid off in 2 years, and then invested the difference? That difference, roughly $600 to $700 per month after the loan is gone, goes into an index fund, earning the historical market average of around 10% annually. Over 30 years, that single shift produces over $1.3 million. $1.3 million from one decision, one car decision. That is not an exaggeration. That is compound interest, working silently in your favor instead of silently working against you. But let's go deeper, because the math is only half the story. The other half is what I call the lifestyle lock. When you buy an expensive car, something psychological happens. Your identity starts attaching to that vehicle, the brand, the feeling, the image it projects. And when that loan ends, you don't downgrade. Nobody does. You upgrade, because now you've lived at that level. Anything less feels like failure. This is exactly how the car industry wants you to think, and it works brilliantly on almost everyone. There's a concept in behavioral economics called lifestyle inflation. It means as your income rises, your spending rises to match it. The car is often the first major trigger of lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, you upgrade the vehicle, you get promoted, bigger payment, nicer model, and your net worth, that number that actually determines when you retire, stays flat. Income goes up, spending goes up, wealth stays stuck. Let me give you a real scenario. 2 colleagues, same salary, same starting point at age 28. Person A buys a new car every 5 years, always finances, always has a payment. Average monthly car cost $950. Person B buys quality used vehicles, maintains them well, and invests the difference. Average monthly car cost $300, invests $650 per month. At 58, 30 years later, Person A has a nice driveway. Person B has a $1.4 million portfolio and the option to retire. Person A is still calculating how many more years they need to work. That gap, 10 years of additional work, doesn't come from laziness or bad luck. It comes from one repeating decision, made at dealerships, under pressure, with financing offers designed to feel affordable. $735 a month sounds manageable, until you realize what $735 a month invested for 30 years actually becomes. Now, I'm not telling you to drive a falling apart car with no air conditioning. That's not the point. The point is intentionality. Most people make car decisions based on what they can qualify for, not what actually moves them toward financial independence. Those are 2 completely different conversations, and the dealership is only interested in one of them. Let me talk about depreciation for a moment, because this is where the real financial damage happens, and almost nobody pays attention to it. A brand new car loses roughly 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. In the first year, it loses close to 30%. By year 3, you've lost nearly 40 to 50% of what you paid. You are not buying transportation when you buy new. You are funding someone else's financial dream. The manufacturers, the dealers, the finance companies. They designed this system. You didn't. The sweet spot, if you must buy, is a 2 to 4 year old vehicle. Someone else absorbed the brutal early depreciation. The car still has significant life left. You pay a fraction of the original price, and your money, the difference, stays in your hands. That's how people who retire early think about cars, not as status, as tools. I want to address something directly. Some of you watching are going to say, but I need a reliable car for work. Completely valid. Reliability is real. Transportation is real. But reliability does not require a $50,000 vehicle on a 72-month loan. Reliability is a Toyota Camry with 40,000 miles. It's a Honda CR-V, 3 years old, one previous owner. These vehicles will take you to work every day for another 150,000 miles without blinking, and they will not cost you a decade of your life. Here's another angle that almost never gets discussed. Insurance. When you finance or lease a new car, lenders require full comprehensive coverage. That's non-negotiable. On an older paid-off vehicle, you choose your coverage level. The average American overpays for auto insurance on financed vehicles by $800 to $1,200 per year. Over 10 years, that's another $10,000 to $12,000. Gone. Add that to the calculation we ran earlier. The number gets even bigger. Let's talk about something called opportunity cost. This is the foundation of every serious financial decision. Opportunity cost asks, what else could this money have done? Every dollar you send to a car payment is a dollar that cannot compound, cannot grow, cannot build the future version of your financial life. The car doesn't just cost what you pay for it. It costs what that money would have become if it had been invested instead. That's the real price of the vehicle, and that price is never listed on the window sticker. Now I want to speak to the younger people watching, the ones in their 20s. Your car decision right now is the most powerful financial decision you will make in this decade. Not your rent, not your phone plan, your car. Because you have time on your side. A 25-year-old who invests the equivalent of a car payment for 35 years, even at modest returns, reaches retirement with assets that most people only dream about. A 25-year-old who buys a new car, rolls into payments, and repeats the cycle, loses that window. That window doesn't come back. Time is the rarest resource in personal finance, and a car payment quietly steals it from you. I also want to talk about the emotional side of this, because money is never just math. We buy expensive cars because of how they make us feel. Successful, respected, worthy. And I'm not here to shame anyone for that, but I want you to ask yourself something honest. If the car is making you feel financially powerful, but it's actually making you financially weaker, is that feeling worth it? The most financially secure people I've ever met don't drive to impress. They drive to get places. Their wealth is quiet, private, growing in the background. There's a phrase in personal finance, you can't get rich looking rich. The car is often the most visible way people try to look rich, and it is the single most effective way to delay actually becoming wealthy. So what's the actual framework here? How do you make a different decision? First, before any car conversation, calculate your total monthly cost. Payment, insurance, fuel, maintenance. Total. Then ask, what would that number, invested monthly, look like in 20 years? Run the calculation. Actually run it. Most people never do. That's why they're surprised later. Second, separate the vehicle from your identity. What you drive is not who you are. What you own, quietly without showing off, is what determines your options in life. Third, make the decision based on net worth impact, not monthly payment comfort. Dealers will always make payments feel manageable. That's their entire job. Your job is to think past the monthly number. The 10-year retirement delay I mentioned at the beginning, it's not dramatic. It's not a worst-case scenario. It is what the compound interest math produces. When you consistently redirect wealth-building money into a depreciating asset on a payment plan, year after year, decade after decade. The math doesn't care about your intentions. It doesn't care that you needed something reliable. It only responds to what you actually did with your money. And that's the most important sentence in this entire video. The math only responds to what you actually did, not what you planned, not what you meant to invest, what you actually moved consistently into assets that grow. So the next time you're sitting in a dealership and someone is drawing little boxes on a white paper showing you how affordable the monthly payment is, remember this video. Remember the $1.3 million. Remember the 10 years. And ask yourself one question before you sign anything. Am I buying this because it serves my future, or because it's hard to say no in the moment? That one question answered honestly will save you more money than any budgeting app ever will. If this gave you something to think about, share it with someone who's about to buy a car. They may not thank you today, but 10 years from now, they will. Take care of your money, because nobody else will. Like, share, and subscribe.